Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the I-212 application for permission to reapply for admission into the United States after deportation or removal. So in short, this is the application that you will need to fill out or have your attorney fill out to get back into the United States. So let's get into that. Alrighty, so this document is for people who got deported, expedited removal, removed in absentee, or any type of deportation, or you have a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year ban and you're trying to reapply to see if you get permission to come back into the United States and to be able to stay here. Some examples are, let's say you were deported and then now you're trying to get back into the United States with a spouse visa. These are people that will use this document. If you overstayed and you got deported, this is also a document that you would need to use. The people that should not be using this document is people who overstayed but they left, and they weren't deported. They weren't ordered to be deported. They do not need to file this document. If you got a 5, 10, or 20-year ban and that time has expired, you also don't need to use this document. You can just reapply the normal way since your ban has already expired. Now, this document is highly recommended that you use an attorney when you're filing this document. You can do it on your own, but it's considered a complicated waiver, and it will be best to use an attorney to avoid certain delays because they can gather some of the documents that you need. But if you feel confident or maybe your money is tight, then you can attempt to do this document on your own and see how that goes for you. Part of the reason why it is so useful to use an attorney in this situation is because you will need to provide a legal argument as to why you should be allowed to come back in. You need to provide extensive evidence as to why you should be coming back in. You need to explain why you were deported in the first place. You need to show why you're not a risk or danger. Some of the things that you will need to show when you're applying for this is that you have proof, evidence that you have family in the United States. You have spouse or children who are United States citizens. Your family has medical issues, or maybe there's financial hardship without you being here, and that's the part of the reason why you need to be able to come back. You have to show that you're going to be involved in the community and you will have something stable to come back to as far as work. So these are all the things that need to be shown in order to be able to come back into the United States after you've been deported. Alrighty guys, so this is the form, the I-212 application for permission to reapply. All you do is click here. It's on uscis.gov. Now, again, we always check the edition date. So this is the current. They haven't changed anything. The where to file portion of this application is more complicated than other standard documents like the I-130 and the I-485. So when you're clicking on this to find out where you need to file, you really need to read what kind of applicant are you so you can file it with the correct branch. So let's click here. So as you see, it says, who are you? Now you need to read through these and pick which one best represents you. And then it tells you exactly where to file on this side. So applicant for non-immigrant visa. Other than the K, T, U, or V visas applicants, you will file with the U.S. Consulate, Department of State. Applicant who wishes to seek admission as a non-immigrant at the U.S. port of entry who is not required to obtain a non-immigrant visa, you will apply through the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, CBP. So you'll just read through these, and this will tell you exactly where to file and where to send it. Now let's look at the fees. We're going to click here fee schedule. The general filing fee for this application is $1,175. Down here it says if you're filing with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services as a person seeking or granted special immigrant visa or status as an Afghan or Iraqi translator, Iraqi national employee, these type of people will get this for $0. If you're filing for USCIS as a person seeking or granted adjustment of status as an abused spouse or child under the Cuban Adjustment Act or Asian Refugee Immigrant Fairness Act, this is $0 as well. And also, if you're filing with the USCIS as a person seeking or granted immigrant clarification as a Violence Against Women Act VAWA self-petitioner, this will be $0 for you as well. Now we're going to click here, so we go to the form. Now that the form is up, we're going to click these 3 dots right here, so we can open it in the desktop app for Adobe. Alrighty, so right here, as usual, we don't fill this far out, especially if you're filing by yourself. Your attorney or your accredited representative will fill that out, but not you. Down here, your alien number. This is a number that is given to you once you have your receipt. But if you don't have that, it's not a big deal. You just skip past that because it says right here, if any. Now you can put your first, last name, middle name here. And then any of your prior names that you may have in the past, you're going to put it in this section. So this includes if you're having nicknames, if you've been divorced, or if anything like that, or married and you had your name changed, this is where you'll put that information. Right here is if you were, like, for example, you're married multiple times, then you put that here. They just want to know all the different names that you've had. Right here is asking for your mailing address. It says if you're outside the United States, provide your U.S. mailing address if available. If if a U.S. mailing address is not available, provide your mailing address abroad. So just put your information here. If this is your own place or in care of anyone else, you put that there. If not, just leave that blank. And then you just put your address, whether you're inside the United States or outside the United States, wherever you get your mail. Is your mailing address the same address where you're currently living, your physical address? If it's no, then you'll check no, and then you'll put your information in right here. Now they're trying to get additional details from you. So if you have a social security number, you put it there. If you have your USCI online account number, you put it there. If you don't, do not worry about it. Then you put your sex, you put your date of birth, you put the city or town you're born in, the state or province that you're born in, the country that you're born in, the country that you have your citizenship or nationality. Now right here it says if you seek an immigrant or non-immigrant visa and you are or will file your application for consent to reapply with your immigrant or non-immigrant visa application, provide the information requested. Department of State consular case number if you have it. If you do not have it, just type in none. This is asking the location of the U.S. Embassy or U.S. Consulate where your application for immigrant visa is being or will be made. So, for example, if you're in Colombia, you'll put Bogota, Colombia. That's where the U.S. Embassy is in Colombia. They'll put that there. So it's typically the embassies or the consulate is going to be in the country that you are applying from. So wherever the embassy is, that's where you put the town and then you put the country. Right here it says if you're seeking consent to reapply in connection with an application to adjust your status to that of a lawful permanent resident, then you need to provide that information here. So typically this is for people who are trying to reapply and they have, let's say they're doing a spouse visa and they're going to try to get the status change while they're abroad. They will put their USCIS receipt number there. They want to know where you filed your application, what date you filed the application. If you're submitting a Form I-60 application for waiver of grounds of inadmissibility along with the application, yes or no. In the immigration form I-212, it's asking, are you submitting Form I-601 application for waiver of grounds of inadmissibility along with this application? Then it's saying if you answer no, provide the requested information like the. All right, so now that we're here talking about the Form I-601, let me explain to you guys what that actually is. The I-212 is basically asking for permission to come back into the United States after you've been deported or removed. The I-601 is asking for forgiveness for breaking immigration laws or rules or having other immigration related problems. Most people, some people have to file both documents to get back into the United States because they had issues with immigration, problems breaking immigration law, and they were deported or removed. So when both of those things happen, both documents have to file. And what it's asking you in this documentation is, did you file this document? If so, where is the document? Where or are you filing with it? Or so if so, where is it? You know, so they can locate both cases. The 601 is usually you will need that if you were here unlawfully, you committed fraud or misrepresentation like using someone else's passport, you have criminal history while you're in this country, you have health related issues that weren't diagnosed during the immigration process. Well, not diagnosed, but they weren't communicated during the immigration process. You smuggle a family member into the country or other things that will break the immigration laws. So essentially, to simplify it, the 601 is I've made a mistake or violated the immigration law. I need forgiveness. 212 is I was deported. Can you please allow me to come back in? So again, let's revisit 19. Are you submitting Form I-601 application for waiver of grounds of inadmissibility along with the application? If you click no, it wants to know, basically it's asking you here, did you already submit it? Is this already in progress? So if it is in progress, then you put that information here. If it's not in progress because you don't need the 610 because you didn't violate any immigration laws, then you will just type not applicable, NA. All right, so part 2 of this application is basically asking you, why are you filing the 212 document? And it's going to give you a few options, and based on which option best fits your case, then you will fill out that area. If it does not apply to you, you can leave it NA or you can leave it blank. It's best to leave it, put it NA. If it does not apply to you, then to just leave it blank. So the first one is removal of arriving alien. If I have been removed as an arriving alien in expedited removal process. So I have only been here once and my last removal was less than 5 years ago. So basically you will be filling out this area if you are someone who entered the United States with a visa. Let's say they feel like you came to work illegally and they turn you around, or you came into the United States or attempted to come into the United States without a visa and they catch you at the border or catch you at the airport and they turn you around. This would be what you will fill out, the area that you will fill out based on how you were deported in this section. So the next section is removal as a deportable alien. This is for people who've already made it into the United States. You either overstayed your visa, you violated your status, or you did enter illegally and they're just now finding you, and an immigration judge has ordered for you to be removed. This is the section that those type of people will fill out. In this section, entry after unlawful presence in the aggregate of 1 year. Aggregate means in a combination of a year's time. So for example, this is for someone that came to the United States, they overstayed their visa by 5 months, they left, now they came back again into the United States and overstayed for another 8 months. So in a total, they overstayed for about 13 months. This is that part in the aggregate, in the combination, the 5 and the 8 is 13. So they stay for over a year. This section is for those type of people. And it's also for someone that just overstayed a year and they left and now they're trying to come back illegally again without inspection. They're trying to get back into the country. This is the section that they need to fill out. And this section, I believe this is the 4th section, is entry after removal. This is for someone who was removed or deported and then they came back into the United States illegally without an inspection or with fake documents or under someone else's identity. This area is for that type of person to fill out. Now, part 3 is asking for reasons for your request for permission to reply. And it's saying, if the Department of Homeland Security permits you to re-enter the United States, what immigrant status will you seek? Would it be permanent residency? Would it be a visitor, student, or other? Now it says, explain why you would like to re-enter the United States. If you need extra space, you will go down all the way down to part 9 in the bottom to add that extra space. So they want you to write a pretty thorough reason why they should let you in. So you probably more than likely will be using the additional space for part 9, or you might have to include a letter documenting the reason why you need to be re-entered into the United States, because this is not going to be enough. Here is asking you if you have any U.S. or lawful permanent resident family members. So if you do, you put their information here, the relationship, and what's their status. And if you need any space, because let's say you have 2, 3, or 4 family members or U.S. citizens or permanent residents, then you will add that or their information into section 9 for additional information. Part 4 is asking for biographic information. So it's asking you if you're Latino or Hispanic, or not Latino, not Hispanic. What is your race, your height, your weight, your hair color, your eye colors. Pretty simple, basic stuff. Now, you remember that section where it says where to file? If in that section it says that you need to file your document with the Customs and Border Protection, CBP, you need to fill out this area. You need to fill out all of part 5. If not, you could just skip right through this part. But if you are filling it out with Customs Borders, they need to know all this information. So what it's asking you right here is they want to know your physical address of everywhere you lived during the last 5 years, whether it's inside the United States or outside the United States, and provide your current address first. So you'll just fill all of that out right there. It gives you 2 spots. And if you need any additional information, then additional space, then you'll go to part 9. Here it wants your employment history. Provide your employment history for the last 5 years, whether inside or outside the United States. So you'll fill all of this information in for the last 5 years. If you need any additional information, other employers, you go down to this area, just a second page over. If there's 3 or more employers, then you will need to go to part 9 and fill that information out. Now it's asking you for information about your parents. This is standard. This is normal. This is to help them to identify you better. For example, you might be named John Smith. There's a million John Smith, but most John Smith are not going to have the same exact parents, which is why they're asking you for your parents' mother's legal name and all that kind of stuff. So you put your mother's name, her maiden name, date of birth, city. Then you'll put your father's information, his name at birth if it was different, city, country. This helps them identify you better. Here is asking you about your marital status. If you're single, married, divorced, you'll check that. How many times you're married, annul marriage, or married to the same person, you'll put that number there. Now it's asking you for information about your current spouse. You'll put that here. Your spouse's place of birth, place of marriage to your current spouse. Now it's asking you about your prior marriages. You'll put this there. Place of your prior marriage. Where were you guys? Now it's asking where the place where your marriage with your prior spouse legally ended. You put that there. Now we get down to wrapping everything up. It's asking you for the application, your application information, sign and date, your interpreter's information, their phone number, contact, sign and date, your preparer's information, their contact information, sign and date. And then this is part 9. This is where you put all that extra information. So that's essentially how you need to fill out this form. Remember, you need to provide as much details. It just gave you that little form as to why you need to re-enter, but you probably will need to write letters, need to show police certifications that you're a good person, you need to show that you're stable and you're going to have a good employment when you get here, that there's financial hardship. So just because you have this document, I would not advise that you send this document alone. I would advise that you have as much details showing them that you are a good person, that they should let you back in, that your family here needs you, that you have family here, that you if you did make a mistake, that you did file a 601. So again, I wouldn't send this document alone. I'll have all that information. And if you do need help with this, because this is more of an advanced waiver, this is kind of a waiver, you might want to hire an attorney to help you with this one. If you really truly need some legal help and legal consultation. Again, my name is Ramon. I'm with K Martin. We're a nonprofit that helps with the paperwork. We're not attorneys. This is not considered legal advice. This is just for information purposes only. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video.